Time for the market report. Market split, but still slipping.
With a few exceptions here and there, along with some updates from the Farm Bureau. But first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then, a deeper dive into the recent Farm Bureau conference. Some important announcements made that will affect Mississippi producers. So, markets closed split with row crops trending down while livestock still going up. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, lumber, up 19.5 bucks. That's more than a 3.5% increase from the previous week. The week's biggest loss, soybean oil, down over 1.5 cents, more than a 3% decrease from the previous week. So the recent Farm Bureau conference featured many speakers from all across the board of influence, and with that in mind, some pretty important announcements were made that will have an impact on the producers of Mississippi.
You know, like Farm Bureau, Mississippi State University Extension Service, when our faculty and our county agents or our extension agents out in the county, when we wake up in the morning and our feet hit the ground, we're thinking of ways to serve our farmers across this state, whether we're delivering them research-based information or just helping them out with day-to-day.
And with those words, Dr. Katchot made it clear that the mission of the Farm Bureau and MSU Extension are similar. The 2025 Farm Bureau Annual Convention featured many speakers from all across the state, many of them people with the power to affect the lives of the state's farmers. Congressman Michael Guest and Mike Ezell among them.
Mississippi is home of our farmers whose hard work feeds America. And lastly, Mississippi is home of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, who is a leading voice for agriculture in our state and who, under the leadership of President Mike McCormick, serves as a tireless advocate for each of you, our farmers and our ranchers.
If we got any catfish farmers in here, I want to let you know there's some good news coming for you on the voting on the House on Tuesday. The catfish farmers let me know that there was a bird that was decimating their catfish fingerlings and just giving them a very hard time and had for many years. It was a cormorant. And so they were telling me about what that bird was doing to their catfish, and it's costing them $65 million a year for the catfish industry. So I want you to know that bill is going on the floor on Tuesday next week to take that bird off of the Endangered Species Act. And so we'll be able to do something about that bird coming in there eating your catfish. I felt really good about that. So I just want to make sure that all our catfish farmers know that. Something else that I have been very actively involved in while being in the Congress is our pine trees. As many of you know, so many of these Green New Deal type people are not treating our pine tree as a crop. Well, I want you to know that we're here today to change that, and things are really moving forward with harvesting our pine trees again so that we can actually use a pine tree what it's meant to be, as we are living in the Pine Belt.
Earlier this year, you might have heard of a piece of legislation called the One Big Beautiful Bill. And in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Congress was able to address many of the concerns that are typically dealt with in a farm bill. And specifically, we're able to make significant investments in the safety net for producers. We were able to increase reference prices for ARC and PLC. We were able to add base acres, 30 million base acres. We were able to increase funds for trade. We made sure LLCs are on equal footing with other business partnerships, which really should help people in their organizations how they qualify for federal programs. Additionally, we improved livestock disaster programs to be more responsive to drought and predators. In poultry, we were able to create the first management tool for extreme weather. So those are all things that Congress was able to pass this year that I think happened outside the traditional farm bill process. But coming in October of next year, of 2026, producers will see the benefits of the increased reference prices and the improvements to the safety net when those new prices trigger.
As you can see, this annual meeting has been known as a good place to feature programs and actions designed to help the Mississippi farmer. And it's not just representatives in Washington. State leaders, too, have a lot to say.
We are in the midst of a nationwide farm crisis at this very moment. Actually, it's nothing new. It's been a a crisis that has been brewing under the surface for a number of years, as you know, as global trade has gotten way out of balance, as input prices have skyrocketed, interest rates, and as commodity prices have dropped. The row crops all over this country, the farmers producing our great row crops are hurting. We cry out to Washington, D.C., and Congress did help last year about this time of year. But I want to tell you on that call that I had this past Wednesday with Secretary Rollins, a little bit of good news, because this coming week, directly from the President, from the White House in the Oval Office, there will be a major announcement of some greatly needed help for our farmers across this country. Now, the second thing that I want to mention is the farm situation that we face nationwide and here in Mississippi is not something that I believe we can just sit back and wait and hope that Washington will always be there to bail us out, because they won't always. I took the initiative back in the summer to form a strategic planning committee, and I'm calling it the Farm Planning Committee. That stands for the Future of Agriculture Resiliency in Mississippi. And we have to look at the bigger picture. Now, we can't control a lot of these global forces and issues that are out there, but we can do what we can do in the state of Mississippi for our farmers to support our greatest industry in the whole state, which is agriculture, and do things better than we have in the past. Whether it's state policies that need to be improved or federal policies that we need to advocate. And the whole purpose of this committee is to travel the state and listen to you, the farmers, and to get your input on what works and what doesn't work and what we could do better as a state, as the state of Mississippi. And at the end of this process, by next March or April, our goal is to have a full strategic plan that will chart the course for the future of agriculture in Mississippi for ourselves and for the next generation.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets.